CBS 4 is following a developing story right now. Police have been involved in a deadly shooting in Brickell. Good evening, I'm Elliot Rodriguez.
And I'm Carly Barnett. Police say they were in a building to execute an eviction and things quickly got violent. CBS 4's Keith Jones is live on the scene in Miami. Keith.
Yeah, guys, still very much a scene here. Hours and hours later, Miami-Dade police investigators still on the scene. They've got the lead investigative unit down there in front of the building where this happened earlier today. Miami-Dade police just put out a news release a little bit, probably in the last hour or so, giving some details, saying they knocked on the door, they identified who they were, they identified why they were there. The woman would not open the door. She began at some point start firing at police, and police were forced to return fire. It's not a scene that most equate with the Brickell neighborhood. Police swarming the area, shots fired. A woman rushed to Ryder Trauma Center. She was engaged in a shootout with Miami-Dade police. The eviction and squatters unit was simply serving an eviction notice at 110 Southwest 12th Street. Miami-Dade police director says the action is known as an unlawful detainer.
That means that she can't be in there no more. She went past her lease, and the landlords want to remove from the property, and they use a proper civil process to do that.
Folks who live in the area knew something was about to go down, witnessing officers preparing to make entry.
So I walked up out on the balcony this morning, and there were 3 cops over there and 2 undercover cops right next to them. They got out and put on bulletproof vests.
As our officers made contact with the subject fired a firearm at our officers. Our officers returned fire. Director
Ramirez said none of his officers was injured. The woman's gunfire actually hit the officer's protective equipment.
She fired the firearm and it hit our shield. That's why, thanks to the grace of God, that none of our officers were injured.
Officers didn't hesitate to return fire. The barrage of bullets caught people in the area off guard.
We was just sitting in the park, and it was just a shootout coming out. We didn't know where it was coming, or we just here. We was walking by.
As gunfire exploded, moments later, Southwest 12th Street was littered with a heavy police presence.
And all of a sudden, I see a bunch of officers running down, and they were like holding on to their side or something. I just see a bunch of officers swarming by, and then a bunch of cop cars just coming in, and they all like barricaded towards the end of the hallway of the street. I'm sorry.
At first it was a few, and then we were all look at that, and then all of a sudden it was like 10, 15, and then it seemed like it was 20, police officers showing up at the scene.
Director Ramirez says this is what the task force trains for, but dreads ever having to use the tactics.
These are one of those scenarios that we always worry about, but our officers were prepared and trained, and it's just an unfortunate outcome, but they fired at my officer.
We also asked the police director whether that gun was obtained legally, whether there was a license for it, whether this woman had a criminal past. None of that information was readily available. By the way, the FDLE is now investigating the shooting. Live in Brickell, Keith Jones, CBS 4 News.